Hello chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel, and welcome to the round 8 of the Gashimov Memorial in Shamkir, Azerbaijan. So one round before the end, Magnus Carlsen wins this tournament. So it's unbelievable. He's unbeatable. He plays this very strong Lasker Sicilian, and he's basically unbeatable in this very nice opening. So I cannot believe that no one so far has beaten him in this particular opening. He again today played against Sergey Karjakin, and it looks so easy. He doesn't need so much time in order to do some calculations. Sergey Karjakin was had all the time troubles in this game. And as said, one round before the end of the tournament, Magnus Carlsen has an unreachable advantage in front of all of these players, so no one can catch him up. He can basically go home even in this round. Even tomorrow is still one round to play. So unbelievable. Congratulations to Magnus Carlsen. He's simply the best. He's the fisher now these days, and he's unstoppable. I cannot believe he's really pushed now chess to another level. So if you want to be the best in the world, of course you have to beat Magnus Carlsen. So let's see again this Lasker variation against Sergey Karjakin. We saw many nice games by Magnus Carlsen. He played this opening also against Fabiano Caruana. He plays also different lines in this particular opening. He chooses maybe this particular lines in order to surprise. You see in this tournament he already played this opening with black, and he played it with knight on b8. Today with this we'll do this knight on e7 idea. So he changes these lines just in order to avoid his opponents to prepare against him. So let's see the game. E4 c5 answered by, of course, by Magnus Carlsen. We have knight on f3 and now knight on c6. D4 c takes d4, knight takes on d4, and now knight on f6. The most aggressive way, knight on c3, because we haven't pushed so far these two pawns, or the e or the d pawn, so we are staying flexible. We can still, from this particular move order, we can transpose maybe into this French variation of the Sicilian. We can transpose in the Najdorf. We can even transpose into Dragon Sicilian variations. But here Magnus Carlsen chooses this most aggressive way with e5, knight on b5. And of course d6. I've explained it also in some other games. This d6, you want your opponent to prevent the knight to jump here on d6. So knight on d5. Now we have knight takes on d5, e takes d5. So in the last game, Magnus Carlsen played this knight on b8 idea. Today he plays this knight on e7 with the support here to play maybe f5, g6, bishop on g7, maybe knight on g6 with bishop on e7 ideas. But here Karjakin chooses the c4, and now knight on g6. We have queen on a4, of course, with the threat to do some discover checks here by the queen. So that's why bishop on d7, and here bishop on queen on b4, attacking this d6 pawn. And this is now some sort of a psychological game here played by Magnus Carlsen, because before this round he was half of a point in front of Sergey Karjakin, and he knows that a draw is still enough for him in order to be first in this tournament. So he chooses here to play bishop on f5. Now again queen on a4, again bishop on d7, queen on b4. And what Magnus Carlsen was probably thinking, okay, maybe we'll have perpetual moves. We have three times the same move order, and he'll manage to make a draw here, and will stay on the first place after this round. So that's why here after bishop on f5, here Sergey Karjakin goes into this h4. He wants to win this game, so also all of the respect for Sergey Karjakin. He wants to win this game. He chooses now to go into an aggressive line with h4, of course with the preparation to play h5. So that's why h5 played by Magnus Carlsen. Bishop on g5, now queen on b8. Of course it's not good to bring the bishop, because if you trade off the bishops, then you don't have any more the defender of this d6 pawn. So that's why queen on b8, bishop on e2, and now a6, kicking away the knight. And here knight on c3 was played. I've seen some also these lines in which maybe white tries here to play knight on a3. There are these defensive moves like here a5 in order to kick away the queen. But here knight on c3 was played by Karjakin, and now queen on c7. Very nice move, very nice positional move, because we want to get the queen back of this very annoying 8th rank. If we castle, then we would have really this rook connection, which is also a very important stage of the opening in a chess game. So here g3 was played, and now bishop on e7. So we don't mind anymore here to trade off these bishops, because we have a very nice supported pass pawn here on this e file, and here we can always fix the position around dark square. So here this dark square bishop by Magnus Carlsen, it's a little bit blocked out by its own pawn, so Magnus Carlsen wouldn't mind here to trade off even this dark square bishop. So that's why bishop on e3 played by Karjakin, and now e4. This is now a very important move. This leaves, because of this g3 h4 moves, well, there are these holes in white's position, this f3 and d3 squares, which will be the main strategical plans here from Magnus Carlsen in order to fix the position around these two particular squares. Still, white has this light square bishop in order to protect this squares, but here after castling, Magnus Carlsen plays a very nice idea. He plays castling himself. He gives up this h5 h5 pawn, because we have now both of the players have castles on the same side, so there are no immediate threats to maybe create open files, open diagonals with some pawn moves. It's really hard to create here sort of a pawn storm, because Magnus Carlsen has really nice fixed here the position with the move e4. So here f3 would be just weakening white's king, and here that's why Magnus Carlsen even gave up a pawn here. So knight on e5 here played by Carlsen, and now of course bishop on e2, preventing this knight from potential jump or an outpost here on this light squares. So queen on d7, supporting even more this light squares. You see now Karjakin lost a couple of tempos with this bishop move, and now you see now this many holes on light squares around Sergey Karjakin's king, which are all supported here by Magnus Carlsen pieces. So Magnus Carlsen has played now a very perfect attack here, simply creating more weaknesses around the white's king. He forced basically Sergey Karjakin to castle here. If Sergey Karjakin would have castled here queenside, the same idea would be present again with here knight on d3 outposts, and then after the bishop takes, to create sort of a mobile pawn structure supported with this bishop. So here it's unclear where white should really castle, because it's still an endangered king, although white is a pawn up. But here I hope you realize this very weak light squares around the white's king. So queen on a4, and of course Magnus Carlsen is not interested to trade off the queens, because when we want to stay active, we don't want to trade off this very important attacking piece. c5, and now this is now sort of a mistake played by Sergey Karjakin. This c5 is not a good move, because here bishop d takes c5, and now knight takes on e4. This was probably part of Sergey Karjakin's calculation, but this is not good, because you get c4. And now we come to a very aggressive line. If you try d6, then you get bishop takes on e4. If you take the the bishop with the pawn on e7, here you have queen on h3, immediate checkmate threat. So you are forced, of course, e takes f8, rook takes on f8, and now f3. Then you can play simply queen on g3, king on h1, now knight on g4. Of course, preparing here to checkmate. So that's why white would be forced to play the rook on f2. So now Carlsen could have taken here, if of course the continuation would be like this: knight on e3, rook on f1, but now bishop on c6, now queen on a5, and now you can simply take, attacking the bishop, and this is of course a completely winning endgame here for black. So Magnus Carlsen did a very nice calculation here. Sergey Karjakin probably didn't see all of this tactical line. So very well played here by Magnus Carlsen, very well positionally and tactically. Here he played simply c4, cutting off here the connection between the knight and the queen, so that's why knight on c3. And now b5, again gaining a tempo on the queen. Here queen on d1 was played, and now again another tempo with the move b4. So again the knight has to retreat. Here knight on a4, and I hope you realize these bishops are really not good anymore for white. This knight is really a bit paralyzed. The queen is on the starting square, and Magnus Carlsen's pieces are all in attacking formation. So very well placed. Now again we can simply play on this like with problems. Here bishop on e4 was played, now queen on d4, and now queen on f5, infiltrating really through this like squares. Now f4 was played, and now queen on g6. If you take here that's of course not good. If you take here the pawn, then you get checkmated immediately here with queen on g3. So of course Sergey Karjakin had to react, and here bishop on f2. Now knight on d3, and now h5 was played, but now queen on f5 again. We want to get into the position through like squares. Of course the threat is queen on h3, and then a potential checkmate here on g2. So now that's why bishop on g4, and if you try here g4 immediately, then you have a very annoying move here for Carlsen. You can play knight on f4. If you take, then you can simply take with the fork on the king and the queen. So here white would be forced to play king on h2, but here you shouldn't immediately take. You can simply play bishop on d6. If the king comes here on h3, again you can play another check. If you bring the queen, now knight on f4, you see many tempos on the king, king on h4, and now maybe just take this queen takes, and here again I'm pointing out that white has a completely winning endgame here. So that's why, as said, g4 was not good, so that's why bishop on g4 was played, and here queen takes on g4, queen takes on e4, but now bishop on d6, we have queen on g2, and now rook on e8, very important move. We want to bring the rook on this open file, and this knight is really a monster knight because it's really an outpost here, and the white's problem is that white cannot compete on this e file. So very nice and active play here by Magnus Carlsen. Bishop on d4 was played, queen takes on h5, here queen on f3, and now queen on g6, king on h1. Now the rook comes on a very active square, rook on e4, bishop on f1, f2, and here rook on e8, queen on g2, and now rook on e2. In this position Sergey Karjakin resigned because there's no counterplay here. Here we have some annoying checks. We can also do some tactics here through f2. Basically the whole all of the pieces by white are simply paralyzed. This knight is out of game, this rook is out of game. Too much of the activity here by Magnus Carlsen. Of course the threat is queen on h5 or queen on h6, trading off the queens, and then take the bishop on f2. So as said, Sergey Karjakin resigned, and completely deserved win. Very nice positional and tactical play here by the world champion. I really enjoyed this game. I hope you also enjoyed this game. Magnus Carlsen, as said, is simply playing something different. I think he's now maybe over 45 games undefeated. Please correct me if I'm wrong. He'll probably again go over 2950 rating. I hope 28 and 50. I hope he's gonna go for this goal for this 2900. I would be really happy if he managed to do that, because he's playing simply the best chess these days. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Meanwhile, you can watch my other chess games from the Gashimov memorial, and you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see the best chess games that have ever played in chess history. Thanks you for watching, and Magnus Carlsen is the best, guys.